I have to hand it to you. You worked fast today. Yeah. I mean, when I got here, the office was laying on its side. I know. Yeah. Wind. At least it wasn't my garbage day today. It was you. Oh, God. Okay. Wow, gale force winds, wind warnings and stuff from last night, but it's beautiful today. A little breeze downtown. Welcome, by the way, to Season 2, Episode 48. 48 of Niagara 411 Live with Sterry. We are fueled by Gale's Gas Bars. We are powered by WeeStreem and supported by the ever-present Niagara businesses that have been with us for quite some time now. Thank you, Performance Heating and Air, as well as Verge Insurance Group. Coming up today, we have a Niagara artist to chat with. Lovely young lady, has a brand new album out. We're going to talk with her. We'll hear some of her music today. Errunhrd is going to be here. Also, Steve Soos shall be here, political activist here in Niagara. Got some things on his mind. Maybe you have some things on yours. We're going into Fiddler's Poorhouse as per usual. Come on in and join us on this nice day. I think we're at about 12 degrees already for December the 2nd. That's not too shabby. Okay, it's almost the same temperature in here as it is out there. Nice day. So we're going to be chatting with Kevin Jack of WeeStreem and our other guests, as I mentioned, and some other things that are up for grabs. You have anything you want to contribute today, by all means, come in and do so. We'll tell you how to do that in about 30 seconds. Cheers. And hello, we are getting wired up for sound here. Welcome to the program. And good to see you again, Kevin. Kevin Jack, ladies and gentlemen, our executive producer, co-founder of WeeStream, Canada's premier streaming service. And I don't think I'm exaggerating.
No, we're
too much by saying that.
You know, we're busy this weekend. Fans of Niagara 411, Saturday night at 5:45. We're going live from downtown Grimsby with the Grimsby Santa Claus Parade.
Oh, that'll be great.
So if you don't have a chance to get out to a Santa Claus parade this year, you're looking like you're on a mission from God there.
I know, sorry.
And then on Sunday, we are doing a Christmas concert with Niagara's Children's Choir.
Excellent.
And we were just at the dress rehearsal last night. Lots of young, talented people there. So it's a busy weekend for WeeStream.
You know what? It's just so nice to hear that you're busy. Sometimes it's either feast or famine, isn't it? Oh man, we're so busy. But it's better than the alternative, and it's also a sign that finally our society is starting to feel a little bit more inclusive with the events that are coming up. So people get out and enjoy these things and have their events, and especially heading into the festive season, because the last holiday season, and I say holiday because Hanukkah started a couple of days ago, and of course we had Christmas and all kinds of different happenings and festivals this time of year. Last year was a dud. I mean, it was nothing. It was really disheartening for a lot of people. And Christmas can be a super, well, the holiday season in general, but Christmas, because, I mean, that's what I'm closest to, but it can be really, really hard for some people. It's a very emotional time, waves of emotions, highs and lows. And last year, it was a tough one. It was a tough one. So it's great to hear you're busy.
Yeah, we are, and so it's going to be a busy weekend. But again, Santa Claus Parade live from Grimsby. We'll carry it on Niagara 411 Saturday beginning at 5:45 p.m. So grab a cup of hot cocoa and sit down and enjoy everything from Main Street in right across from the Giant Tiger. That's where we are.
Awesome.
So looking forward to that.
And look at the temperatures. I mean, today, like I mentioned outside, today is like 12 degrees or something like that. Tomorrow's going to be cooler, but not horrible. Saturday 4, Sunday 4, Monday 9. Wow. Okay. For those people that really like winter, and there are a few, believe it or not, there are some people. I know some people that really like winter. That's not good news, but for those of us that don't like to shovel it, snow that is, it's good.
Yeah, we say you don't have to shovel rain.
Yeah, speaking of which, timing is everything. yesterday, nice day, sunny day. I thought, I was out doing a couple things, and I thought, I think I'll do the leaf thing today. Clean out the gardens and get all those, because we have this massive tree in our yard, and it's big leaves and tons of them. So I do. I get out the leaf blower and the rake and the whole thing. And then this gale force wind comes up. It would have blown everything onto my neighbor's yard, and I wouldn't have had to do a thing.
I wish I was there to see it.
Timing is everything. Now, the timing of this story that we want to kick the show off
this one's crazy.
Is really weird. The whole story is nuts. But we wanted to talk about it because it just makes you wonder what motivates people to do some of these things. So there's a guy that is wanted in connection with this crime. Just one. There have been others arrested for it. But here's the story. A couple that had been spending the evening at a Fort Erie establishment, a bar, accepted a ride back home to Niagara Falls from a fellow who was an acquaintance of theirs. So they knew the guy. Now, the car proceeds to travel down Thompson Road in Fort Erie to a parking lot near the Niagara Parkway. Thompson Road running from Niagara Parkway all the way through to Garrison Road in Fort Erie. Quite a long artery that runs.
So you can see there, that's Fort Erie right there.
Yeah.
And the pin is what we assume is this parking lot, right at Thompson.
Yeah, we're figuring that's where it was. So instead of going back to Niagara Falls, they go to this parking lot where there are 4 other people waiting. Huh? Right. So, at gunpoint, they proceed to demand money from the couple to whom they are giving this ride back to Niagara Falls. Okay. And in the melee of this event, the guy, the victim, gets hit in the head with the gun. So who knows what he was doing or saying? I mean, no conjecture here. We don't know. But he got hit with a gun. He got hit in the head anyway, like pistol whipped kind of thing. But they still take the couple back to Niagara Falls.
Yeah, what's that about, Lee?
Like, they demand money in a parking lot in Fort Erie, and it's at least a half-hour ride, depending on what route they take, maybe a little bit more, to, what was it, Kaler and something else.
It's at Kaler and Lundy's Lane.
Kaler and Lundy's Lane.
So you're looking in this area right here. So the Wendy's is right there. I think that's also the the Fresh Co.
Okay, so we're still wondering. Okay, they demand money from these people. Was it an outstanding debt? Was it just plain old robbery? We don't know. We don't know nothing, honey. So anyway, they take this couple in the car still to Lundy's Lane and Kaler Road, where they allow them to get out of the vehicle. All right. While they are collecting their belongings that I assume hadn't been taken from them, the male is stabbed by one of these people repeatedly. Okay. So this couple manages somehow to extricate themselves from this situation, details not provided by the police at this point in time, and get themselves to the hospital. By the time they left the bar at something like what, 10 o'clock?
Yeah, 10 o'clock.
10 p.m. They get to the hospital just before 3 a.m., 5 hours later, where the police show up and, of course, start to investigate the crime. So, Michael C. Naylor, 42 years old of Fort Erie, he's been arrested and charged with many assaults, many charges, as you can imagine. Then we've got Dustin Murray DeLonge, 37 years.
You missed the way they put it. They don't. Yvonne Joseph Bertrand.
Oh, Yvonne Joseph Bertrand of Fort Erie, also arrested and charged. Sorry, I missed your name there, Yvonne. Lori Johns, 51 years old. I mean, these aren't kids. of Fort Erie, Lori Johns. She's been arrested and charged with a bunch of offenses as well. And there is, at least as of the posting of this note, an arrest warrant is still out for Michael Elliott Stapleton, 42 years old, also of Fort Erie. And that's the dude right there.
So this was Tuesday morning.
How do people do these things, Kevin? I don't.
Monday night, they're at a bar in Fort Erie, 10 o'clock. They asked for a ride home from an acquaintance. We've all done that
To
before.
Niagara Falls. But all these people are from Fort Erie. Why would they be driving to Niagara Falls?
I don't know. 10 o'clock.
The
get to
couple
drive
was the
with an
only couple
acquaintance.
from Niagara Falls.
Do you think maybe there was something else afoot? Like maybe they were
There's
driving...
got to be something behind here somewhere.
Well, I mean-
don't you think?
What you're suggesting is maybe they were driving to Niagara Falls to pick something up. And if they were driving there to pick something up, maybe they had a lot of cash on them. And maybe that's why the other guy would arrange to have his thugs
Possibility?
meet him in the parking lot. But
Possibility?
I mean, I know criminals...
Sounds like you're writing a screenplay, but it's a possibility.
Criminals aren't the smartest people, but how did they ever think
Oh,
that...
certainly not these.
How did they think this was going to end?
This is not a brain trust. These aren't strangers. They know
each other.
They know each other. No, not well. It says acquaintance, but still.
I'm not saying you always kill the witness, but... I mean, where did you think their next stop was? It was 911.
Excuse me. You let them out of the car. There has to be some history here somewhere between this. It just doesn't happen as a random event. So has to be some history somewhere. But then why compound it? You've already committed some sort of armed robbery and kidnapping and I mean assault and the list goes on. And now you stab somebody multiple times. Not a brain trust that we're dealing with here.
No. And the guy that gave them a ride in the first place, like, obviously they're going to be able to identify you.
Of course.
Maybe they're all just living
And
lives.
how did 3 or 4 other people know to meet them in the parking lot?
Would it be fair to assume that all of these people may be living their lives on the wrong side of the law, if you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there's something going on.
So maybe the thinking is, well, you won't go to the cops.
But 5 hours, Kevin. 5 hours. It's not a short drive from Thompson Road to Lundy's Lane, but it's not 5 hours.
Man,
Not even an hour.
that's crazy. So I got a smirk on my face. I mean, these people were very badly assaulted, and
Oh yeah, I mean it's a serious crime.
I mean, that guy,
But if you were reading this in a book
and that was
without background, like we're doing, we're telling the story without any
that's
background.
robbery at gunpoint.
Yeah, but there's more to it.
You would think,
than that.
especially when they're quote
And
unquote
the
known
stab-
to each other.
First, the guy's hit in the head with a gun. Then he's stabbed a bunch of times. You're not having a good day.
What could even be stranger, as I'm reading into this story, is they're robbed in the Thompson parking lot. Then they're driven to Lundy's Lane in Kaler, at which point they're allowed to collect their belongings.
Stabbed.
After you've been robbed at gunpoint,
How was that ride? How did that ride go
How did
for
that
you
ride
between
go?
Fort Erie and Niagara Falls?
Like, I know you just pistol whipped me and stole all my belongings, but I still
Can
need...
you still take me home? Like, what?
And then how do they have any belongings left to retrieve? You just got robbed at gunpoint. Like that's they're after your belongings.
There's quite a gap in time here. Something was going on.
Something's weird with that one, Lee.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, from the ridiculous to the sublime. Welcome back to the COVID conversation, ladies and gentlemen. This is the other story that is. The previous story is not going to affect you at all. This one, however, will have an impact at some point on your life. Canada's new travel rules take effect today. And there's an element of this that Kevin and I were talking about earlier that I was completely... Now, I've been following this. I got to stay up on this stuff. I like to think I know what's going on. I did not know about the app
We need the app. So this is like a lot of us here in Niagara, right? We're so used to going over. We go over the river.
Yeah.
We'll go over there for dinner. I mean, this is pre-COVID, right? It was part of our existence. I'm not saying don't shop local, but we all do it.
Of course. But I thought at first when Kevin talked about the app that he was talking about the QR code thing. But that's not it at all.
Right. So people are getting surprised at the
That's
border
not-
because
that's not it.
I got my QR code, I got my vax, I got all my ID, I got everything you could possibly need. So I'm gonna go over the river.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get some pizza, maybe hit the outlet mall, and then come back, as most of us do.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the app, you're stuck.
But who knew about the app? They haven't been taught. Nobody's been
I
talking
know.
about the app.
So here, let's take a look at some of this stuff.
Because this is, you can get caught. As Kevin has a story about somebody that did get caught.
Yeah. So here, while we're doing this, so there is an app, and it's called Arrive Can app.
Arrive Can.
And a family acquaintance did exactly that. November 30th, the first time that we were finally able to drive over the border since
Yeah.
basically COVID.
Yeah.
So, all right, fine. I'm going
So
over
this
there.
is Tuesday.
I'm going to go get my favorite pizza, and then I'm going to turn around and come back. Well, got back to the border. I got my QR code. I got this. I got that. But do you have the Arrive Can app? This person
the
did
answer is
not.
no.
This person did not. And subsequently, they are now subject to a 14-day quarantine with multiple tests and the government checking in on you throughout those 2 weeks. That's what's happening to this guy right now because he went over to get pizza and he didn't have the Arrive Can app.
You go over to get a pizza, and now you're quarantining for 14 days because the customs officers gave him a chance to hang around and download the app and all that other stuff. But he said, no, I'm not doing that. He said, okay, we'll go back to Canada, but you got to quarantine and we're going to check on you.
And that's only because they're giving us a bit of a grace. They're not supposed to allow us to download it there. You have to do it ahead of time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here's all right. No longer requires PCR testing for short-term trips.
That's cool. Well, for now, we'll talk about that later too. But here it is. It is important to remember to upload your vaccination information via the Arrive Can app for entry to Canada. The list of accepted vaccines has been extended. So, but it's this Arrive Can app thing that is taking people by surprise. I had no idea. So what we're going to do for you here is we're going to go find that app. Kevin's going to walk through the process on screen so that you see exactly what's going on. So there you go. There's your Arrive Can app from your wherever you get your apps, App Store or whatever. Okay? So then you sign in.
I'll just take this off screen while I do this.
Yeah. We don't need your password out there for the entire planet to see. And so you get in. Now this is I'm taking it, Kevin, that this is a free app. I mean, you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we can
All
see
right,
it
so
download.
there you go. Save password for free.
Well, thanks.
And go through those
I'm
protocols.
going to ask you my firstborn's name here.
Yeah. Okay. And
All right, so here we go. Hey, that's lickety split.
Okay, yeah, that's not bad. It's loading pretty quickly. Boom.
So I've never done this before.
No, we're doing it in real time here with you on Niagara 411 Live. ArriveCan would like to send you notifications. Never mind that.
Okay, so I guess I would create an account.
I guess you have to create an account. Yeah,
Okay,
next. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
usually you got to scroll down to the bottom before
Yeah.
you can actually hit on.
Okay.
next.
Okay, now you got to do that.
All right, here. Hold on, I'll
right.
do that.
Okay.
Let me do that here. So you got to enter your email address.
While you're doing that, I want to remind folks that we are fueled by Gale's Gas Bars, our premier sponsor here on Niagara 411 Live. Also, we are sponsored by every week Performance Heating and Air and Virgin Insurance. And we love you all. Thank you very much for being here. And you might notice right above my beau chapeau, there is a space. Which way? This way? That way. A space. That space could be you. We have only one sponsorship available left here on the program. And if you're interested in having this kind of exposure and promotion each and every week and throughout the week, it's not just on one day. We do, in case you missed it, posts over the course of the week, so the exposure for your business is huge. And we can send you those numbers if you like them. So we do have a sponsorship open, so that's my shameless sales pitch at the moment. While we're waiting for Kevin to fill out his emails and do the protocols here.
Well, it's the typical, your password has to have one uppercase letter, a couple of numbers, exclamation point at the end.
Yeah.
So here we go. So now I'm creating
and you have
my
to predict the weather 3 weeks from now at Thursday at dinner time or whatever.
Oh, gosh, now I need a verification code. All right, let me see. I'm looking at another device here. All right.
It's like you're trying to get into the Mint or something. Okay, there's your code. I'm just interested to see what it looks like when we get there.
Yeah. All right.
This tool is used to facilitate the collection of information needed to administer and enforce legislation to help contain COVID-19 and keep Canadians safe and healthy. You will only need to fill this out once per household.
Per
what?
household?
How does that work?
That's weird. Like, I represent my entire family? I think that wording's wrong, but...
Once per household. Okay, well, that question might be answered for us if we go next. Fill in your details to reduce wait times at Canadian ports of entry. To reduce wait times.
How about avoid 2-week quarantine?
Yeah, that's misleading as well.
Absolutely, that's...
Fill in your details to reduce wait times. Well, it's not a Nexus card. It's an app. Well, that's wrong. You can also save your information as you go to submit at a later time. All right, what's next? To submit your form, you will need to enter your travel information, along with answering our COVID-19 self-assessment.
I was going to say, hope wherever they're going.
Yeah, hope everything's okay wherever they're headed. Okay, Kevin, this is just strange to me.
Let's add a travel.
Add your travel document and vaccine information for faster checkout on trips. You can wait, delete, and add additional travelers at any time. Register a travel document. Okay, passport, Nexus card, permanent resident card, etc., and proof of vaccination.
Okay, well, I don't have all that.
You need to enter. Well, I guess you only need to enter it once.
I guess. No, I don't have this. I don't have this stuff on me, so I think I'll click on. I'll do it later.
Well, yeah, for sure, because you don't usually. Well, I have my Nexus card, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't have my Nexus on me, but
yeah.
Okay, I'll do it later.
Okay.
That's it. They booted me out.
All right.
Let's see what happens if I click on this again. Huh.
Oh, so that's it. That
is it glitchy?
That black thing with the white.
Yeah, look, it's
Canada
glitchy.
Bar. Is that doing it all by itself?
Yeah, it is.
Huh. All right. But
look at that.
But the important thing to know is that you can't get back without that app. Like, people were all excited about the fact, and we were talking about it here as well. Hey, now you don't need a test within 72 hours of coming back. If you're there for less than 72 hours, it's okay. You can come back, go through the regular routine, and Bob's your uncle, as they say. But you need this thing.
It's a pretty big piece of information.
That has been left out. I have not heard it or read it or seen it in any media until we've talked about it today.
So I don't want to just share other people's Facebook profiles and posts or what have you, but I've got a couple of friends on my Facebook that are border guards. Mm-hmm. And one of them went out of their way, and I've never seen them do this before, they went out of their way to put out a post to let people know, hey, listen, you have to go get this Arrive Can app.
And this person works for Canada Border Services.
Works at the border, right here in Niagara.
Okay.
Everybody knows somebody that works at the border. So
that's
a border
true.
guard.
Yeah.
And said, listen, because you know that this is what they've been dealing with, ever since November 30th, ever since the travel restrictions were lifted. And they said the media has not been doing a good enough job letting people know that they
sure
need
haven't.
this Arrive Can app. So this is what they're dealing with all day at the border, is Canadians coming back and saying, okay, here's my QR code, here's my proof of vaccination, I'm good to go, here's my Nexus, my whatever.
Well, yeah, I got the QR thing on my phone, I have my Nexus card, and I have a hard copy of the proof of vaccination in my car. So I figured I would be covered. Why wouldn't I be?
You need the Arrive Can app. And you need to fill it out before you get to the border.
So you'd have to go, if you didn't have it, you would have to go through what Kevin and I just went through on the screen, and on top of that, have one of these documents with you to be able to fill it out.
And I think you have to go in and preemptively put in your travel plans. Like, put it in the app that, hey, today I'm going to Niagara Falls, New York.
Yeah.
And I'm going to
get gas and buy a turkey.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And I think you have to put that in there. And then when you come back to the border, you can say, look, here's what I did. It's all in the app. I don't know what they do, if they scan it or what have you, but you have to have that app. And right now, I imagine that the offices at the Canadian border is probably just jammed with people looking at their phones, downloading this app because nobody knows.
Well, I'm not going over, I'll tell you that.
So my family friend is now in a 14-day quarantine.
Because he refused to do that.
He refused to do it. He could have just sat there for an hour.
But the person he was with, now, as I understand your story from earlier, the person that he was with did decide to wait and download the app and jump through the hoops. And once that was done and it was approved, they said, all right, off you go.
Yeah, see you later. He's good to go.
That took him about an hour.
Right.
Okay, but still an hour.
Well,
and it's something you
because
didn't expect.
So many people were doing it, right? And you know what it's like there at the border. You got to take a number and wait your turn and what have you. Okay, I've downloaded the app. But and really, they're not supposed to allow you to do that. I think they're doing that because they understand that, nobody really knows about this thing.
Now, here's the other COVID wrinkle that has happened in the last 24 hours. President Joe Biden of the United States of America has reduced the 72-hour window to 24 hours for anybody arriving by air. So far, your land crossing borders, as in here in Niagara Falls, as well as Niagara on the Lake at the Queenston Bridge, Queenston Bridge, and the Peace Bridge. All our land crossings are still a 72-hour window. You have to have a negative test within 72, if you're going to be in the States longer than 72 hours. But you can go over for less than 72, and you do not need to have a negative test result to get back. However, if you fly into the United States, as of now, immediately, you need to have a negative test, negative result, 24 hours, within 24 hours of leaving of your flight. Okay, this is a big change as well that happened just today. That will no doubt affect numerous snowbirds. I know a lot of Canadian snowbirds drive, and that puts you in a whole different category. Because then the longer than 72-hour thing obviously applies, and you've got lots of time, so it's not critical. But if you are flying, you've got to have a negative result within 24 hours of your flight. Not just a test and a result later. You got to be proven negative for COVID-19, and that is a direct result of the Omicron variant of the COVID-19 virus, of which we now have a few in Canada that have been discovered. A couple in Ottawa, one or two in Toronto. No report of any yet in Niagara, but it'll happen. It'll happen.
So, Lee, just a bit of a tangent here, and it's a rant I've been on, but why the wisdom now to say,
I knew you were going to go there.
There's a variant out there. I think we're going to stop flights from these countries.
Gee,
and yet, 2 years ago, the logic wasn't there. Hey, there seems to be this deadly disease. People are calling it a pandemic in East Asia. Seems to be coming into Europe, but
we'll deal with it.
Yeah, sure. Come on in. Come on. We're open. Come on into Canada. And we'll close the borders. You can't drive in, but you want to fly in? Yeah, come on in. Come on in. Come on. No worries.
I know.
Why now? Now you finally figured out that maybe you should close the borders?
Well,
don't
I would expect that the airlines have a pretty strong lobby group working in their favor, and they all suffered anyway. Had that been done off the bat, not that I don't agree with you, Kevin, I do. As far as international flights are concerned, domestic transportation, a whole different sack of hammers there. But as far as international flights, they should have turned off the tap right at the start of this thing. And they knew that this variant, the newer variant, the Omicron variant, had originated in South Africa. The southern area of not just South Africa, which is a country, but the many other countries in the southern portion of the continent is where it started. But even they said, even out of Nigeria, there was a statement saying, we kind of goofed it up. We reported a little late that we found this thing. Okay, well now that gives the virus a chance, even a bigger window to spread. That's a big oops. And I realize a lot of these countries don't have necessarily the framework and the infrastructure that first world countries might have, but still, that's a big oops. And I hope it's not the tip of a very large iceberg, because COVID fatigue is definitely set in. I don't foresee lockdowns happening. I kind of believe if we had any sort of a lockdown situation rear its ugly head again, there would be general disruption. There would be genuine upset from a lot of quarters.
I believe the word you're looking for is piss-offedness.
Okay.
Yes.
That could appear in the next Webster's edition of New
I think
Words.
so.
Pissed-offedness. That's good.
Lee, want to update the viewers on the disappearance of Errunhrd? Because
we have talked about this for weeks, and we did. Sorry, Kevin, to cut you off. Just a little bit of background.
No, you tell the story.
We did promise that we would follow up and try to find out or talk to somebody, anything at all, because it was just such a bizarre case of complete disappearance. One day here, the next day, and Kevin did follow up, and he can now fill in the rest of it.
So we reached out to people that are very close to Darren, and I had a conversation this week, I'll say fairly, 5-10 minute conversation talking about the ins and outs of the case. And they don't really want to come on the program because there's nothing new really to add.
Yeah.
It is a complete out-of-the-sky disappearance. That's what the police are saying as well.
It's a conundrum wrapped up in an enigma, as they say.
Yeah, they assured me that there is a team of about 10 detectives with the NRP that are all on this case.
I'm sure.
It's gotten so far that the missing persons case of Errunhrd is now with Interpol. So this search has moved internationally. I don't necessarily know why or what the impetus was for that. There was some information that they didn't want to tell me, and that's fine. You have to respect that. But that's the update, really, is that there is no update. Yeah. People are working diligently on the case. There are people that want to know the whereabouts of Errunhrd, and right now it's just a vanishing.
And that in these times of instant communication and tracking and all sorts of satellite surveillance and, well, you name it, that's a hell of a vanishing act. be it by his own hand or someone else's. It's just nuts.
And then there's also the loose connection of his facility burning down about 8 or 10 months ago in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and how many people were affected by that, and whether or not that has anything to do with his disappearance. I can't say that it does, but at the same time, it has to be part of the case. It has to be part of what the NRP are looking at.
It's a heck of a stretch to call it a coincidence.
Yeah. But man, that's just You know, it's affected so many people in Niagara on the Lake and
Yeah.
beyond, the disappearance. And so again, we promised that we would do our best to try and update the situation and keep his image front and center.
And trust me, Kevin's a good researcher, and if he can't find anybody to shed light on it, nobody can. So it's sort of like the lid is shut.
Yeah, the people I was talking to are very close to Darren.
And the lid is shut on this right now. Although it's like the cops, like as you said with the detectives, it's sort of like the duck on the pond thing. You don't see much, but there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case.
Yeah. There was do you want to do our Good Samaritan story?
Yeah, okay.
Have we got access to do our, or do you want to go some? We got a few
that's good.
things.
That's good. I just got to scroll up and find it here.
Yeah.
But
okay.
the Good Samaritan from the PSW, and we love these Good Samaritan stories. I know Nick loves getting them and loves sharing them with you as well.
And it involves a PSW, as Kevin said, which stands for Personal Service Worker, by the way. And this PSW had a client that she was visiting. And by the way, just as a slight aside, in the later months of my mom's life, she had PSWs from Niagara in and out over a period of time. And man, they do great work. If you are one of these people, you are special people, really. You do what you do wonderful work. Okay, so this PSW works in the community. This is the note that Nick got. I want to give a shout out anonymously to the people who came up to myself during work to ask about potentially putting asphalt in my client's driveway. You made me tear up. They've had a rough few years, and your kindness to put asphalt to make it easier to get the client into their vehicle or for appointments and such. I'm still crying. You restore my PSW faith in humanity. Thank you for giving them this early Christmas gift for free to ensure they can safely transfer to car. You're amazing, super kind-hearted, and I hope your pillow is always cold on each side. What a great line. And here's these people out probably paving somebody's driveway or patching holes, potholes and such things, and say, hey, let's can we do your driveway for you? Wow, that's a gesture and a half. And we followed up a little bit.
It's amazing how much of the conversation surrounded the cold side of the pillow.
Yeah.
There's a whole thread here of people saying, Lee, that they wake up in the middle of the night and flip their pillow over.
I do that.
You do that to get to the cold side?
Yeah.
That's insane.
No, it isn't. You get a little warm, you get a little perspiration going there or something in the middle of the night. A lot of people do that. And actually, it's not even in the middle of the night. Sometimes it's like I'll lay there, read a book or whatever, and I'm getting a little warm, so I flip the pillow over.
I can't believe you're one of them.
I am one of them.
Like, here you
It's
go.
not hard to
I
be.
don't understand the pillow comment, but nice.
It's hard not. Yeah. Well, if you're not comfortable on the pillow, if your body heat is sort of generating some discomfort on your head or your face, flip it over.
I just can't believe there's so many people that wake up in the middle of the night. I mean, ideally for me,
It's a
I sleep
thing.
right through the night. So all these people, their bodies are trained
It's
to
a
wake
thing.
up. Well,
It's a
here it
thing.
is. I mean, look, Jennifer says maybe not everyone enjoys a cold pillow, but I know I wake up in the middle of the night and flip my pillow for the cold side up.
There you go.
Pat says, me too.
All right.
Judy,
See?
so do I. You got to start a club, Lee. You could go out for coffee with all these guys
Pillow
and talk
flippers.
about your pillow flippers.
Actually, you know what you want to invent is a pillow cooler.
Now you're onto something, Lee.
Slip it inside. Get a pillowcase that's got a temperature control on it.
Surprised you don't bake yours in the freezer for a little while.
I don't want it freezing, but wouldn't that be like on a hot day, on a hot night, if especially for people that don't have maybe central air conditioning or something like that, or don't like the noise of a window air conditioner, get this pillowcase that's got a little weave in it, Little temperature control, perfect.
Anyway, I'm searching.
Cools you right down.
I'm searching for the one comment, Lee,
Cools you right down.
where they give kudos to Walker Industries.
Yes.
And it's right here.
Apparently, it was a crew from Niagara-based Walker Industries.
You can read the comment there from Jennifer.
Yeah. Amy Schaubel Booth, from the person who reached out to me about the post, said he works for Walker Construction, in case you're as interested as I am. Definitely want to boost the company, especially after the massive heart and act they did for this family. So, don't know whether this crew had any authorization to do that from the company or not, but either way, congratulations on being more human than human. Walker couldn't buy that kind of positive publicity, I don't think.
I hope they were allowed to do it. And it seems
I hope they didn't get in trouble for it.
Had a little hot asphalt left over from the job, and
Yeah.
hey, we come by this neighborhood all the time. We think you could use a patch job or whatever it is, and boy, oh boy.
Yeah. And by the way, for anybody watching this, if you invent that pillow thing I was talking about, I want to cut.
I couldn't believe that. That's what blew me away most.
Really?
Wasn't just the story, but was all the people that are pillow flippers. And I think that's what you call yourself, pillow flippers.
I guess I
Maybe
didn't know.
you start
I didn't know we had a name, but I guess we do.
Start a Facebook group.
Yeah, I flipped my pillow last night.
Here, let me see. And just so you know, our musical guest,
Ah,
Errunhrd, is in there. But
Errunhrd.
if you could just hold on, because I want to do this, Lee. I want to see if there is a group out there
Oh, come
for
on.
people like you. Because I think
Well,
pillow flippers.
It's not like it's a support group. It's not like there's anything wrong with it. We don't sit around in a circle and talk about, oh boy, I flipped my pillow 5 times this week. 5? I was up to 20. Like, there's no need to do this, Kevin. We don't need a support group.
All right, pillow talk pillows. Like I'm nervous about what I'm going to generate with this search. Pillow flippers.
Okay.
Like it's a fetish or something. Fixing
What-
flippers?
We
There's
receive no aberrant pleasure.
But this is
from this.
This is underserved
It's just
in Facebook.
it's a comfort function.
I had no idea there were so many people out there pillow flipping, and there's no.
It's just a case of personal comfort in a time of discomfort. I mean, this is not. Do you kick the covers off sometimes in the middle of the night?
Occasionally.
Okay, it's in the same category as a pillow flipper.
No, I don't wake up to do it though.
How do you?
To do it?
Okay. Well, I don't wake up to do it. I happen to wake up, then I do it.
Your body's trained. You've trained your body to flip your pillow.
Okay, well, maybe it's a conspiracy theory. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, after this silly conversation, to a much more substantive chat. Errunhrd is with us today. Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm not too bad.
We've
Just
got
enjoying the decent weather today.
Yeah, you have a very vanilla background. Where are you?
Oh yeah, I'm in my room.
And where is your room, by the way? I don't need the address. Just what city are you in?
Oh yeah, I'm based in Niagara Falls.
In Niagara Falls, okay. Because we knew you were from Niagara, but weren't sure exactly which city in Niagara. So anyway, welcome to the program. And how long have you been making music? How long have you been doing what you're doing?
Yeah, like music in general, probably it's been a while. Like I guess since I was 12 years old, like I've always played guitar. So I started out on guitar, and I kind of wanted to do a bit more, just because I got kind of tired of playing, just chords or soloing. So I kind of got into the whole world of electronic stuff. And I've kind of been doing that for, it's been since I was 28 now. So how do you describe the kind of music that you perform and create? I guess the most sort of unanimous, because I had to ask other people, because even for me, it was hard to describe at first.
Okay.
And I sort of always say alternative music, and I've had a lot of people. Actually, one of them was John Law. He first interviewed me when I made my first EP, and he helped me sort of figure out a genre
Okay.
So I was like, oh, I do alternative stuff, but it's kind of electronic, but it's not quite EDM. And he's like, oh yeah, that sounds like dream pop. That's what dream pop music is. So
Dream pop?
yeah,
Okay. I have to confess, having been around music my entire life, I've never heard the term before.
yeah, it's a yeah, it's an interesting genre. It's like a mixture of alternative music, a little bit of electronic. Um, it could even have like some new wave stuff. Like some stuff that I make is a little bit similar to New Order.
Okay.
Like it kind of has that synth pop sound to it, so it can include that in it as well. And it's just basically a bunch of, I think it's more of like an umbrella term, but not quite as generic as alternative, but so it kind of narrows it down a little bit.
And
Yeah.
I think a term that we used to use is like electro pop or something like that. So that would probably be too narrow a term as well if we were to call it that, because it's not just that, is it?
Right, yeah, exactly. Like it's more, because I do play guitar still in my track, so I'm not quite electro pop. And trying to identify a genre, that's always been the hardest thing to do for me, because I kind of like to not stay within one genre and kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, include a little bit of everything in
Well,
there.
yeah, I sympathize with, or empathize, I should say, with that task, because anytime you are creating something that seems like a little bit off the grid, and somebody asks you, well, we experience that with this show, as a matter of fact. We say, what is it that you actually do? How do you describe it? And sometimes that's not an easy thing to do. So I get where you're coming from. How did you come up with your style? Like what made the light switch go on that you say, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, I guess sort of. I guess it sort of happened in a random sort of way. So I guess because I love all types of music. Like I love alternative. I love some pop music too. Like I'm a huge fan of Taylor Swift.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love New Order. They're one of my favorite bands, and kind of bands like Grimes that are a bit more experimental electronic stuff. And then even like a few country bands. Like I love the Dixie Chicks as well. And I think just a mixture of all that, and plus like hip hop. I like kind of old school hip hop as well, and I think
Okay.
all my taste just kind of went into making the music, and it sort of came out in a weird way, and that's what sort of formed the genre.
Well, that's a whole lot of different kinds of influencers. There's no doubt about that, because you just walked, I guess, just about the entire musical spectrum there in about 20 seconds. What is your background here? Are you originally from Niagara Falls, born and raised here?
Yep, yeah. So I was born and raised in Niagara.
Yeah.
Born in the GNGH. So yeah, I've been here for my whole life, and I moved around a bit. I lived in Toronto a little bit, and then I moved to Scotland as well.
Scotland.
And I moved to Glasgow because of their music scene. They have a really nice music scene there.
Okay.
And just to kind of to get a feel of what the music scene is like in the UK. And yeah, that was really a great experience to do.
What school did you go to, or schools did you go to here in Niagara?
Like all the way up to
Yeah, like what high school did you go to, for example?
so I went to A. Meyer.
A. Meyer. Okay, all right. Yeah, I was West Lane. We could never beat your football team.
Oh, right. Yeah, Meyer has a good team.
It all boils down to that.
Yeah. Well, never say never, but not often. Okay, now you have. Here's the elephant in the room. You got to clear up for us.
Right.
Errunhrd.
Yeah.
That is your artistic name, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's spelled ERR. Correct me if I screw this up. ERRUNHRD.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, what does it mean? Why
Right,
Errunhrd?
Yeah, when I first made it, I was trying to think of sort of I wanted to make it just called Unheard, and I realized when you search Unheard online, there's so much that comes up, like so many results that come up, and I was like, well, I need a name to kind of go with the tracks, because my tracks are a little bit, I'd say, more ambient and more mellow, on the mellow side, and I think I was having trouble thinking of a name, and then I realized, like, I was listening to my songs, and I thought, oh, a lot of them are, more, I'd say more on the mellow side, a little bit more dark. Some of them are a bit light, but the more sort of tone to it is more kind of like a melancholy thing.
Okay.
And so I know, like, in I guess in our everyday life, talking about those emotions, like, if you're sad or upset, it's kind of like it's seen as like a taboo kind of thing, or like an error type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of use the word error to kind of, compensate for that error type thing. And then unheard, as in like those are the unheard words, or like maybe feelings that we want to say, but have trouble in everyday, if you go meet a friend or just someone at work, it's hard to kind of talk about those things. So that's how Errunhrd came to be.
Cool. All right. That's really cool.
Yeah, Lee, I wanted to hop in here with a question because coming up at the end of the show, we're going to be featuring a new single from your new album called Rain. I really liked it, and I responded to you and said, boy, it really, to me, resonates of late 90s Bjork. And I was a big Bjork fan, and it's interesting that her music in that era encapsulated all of the genres that you just went through.
Yeah.
So when you said, I'm influenced by this, by that, by that, by that, by that, I'm like, yeah, that's the sound. And I really liked it, and you've described it so perfectly. I want to know about your songwriting process. This is new for a lot of people, that an artist can be in, I'll say, their bedroom. I mean, I think the most famous these days would be like Billie Eilish, right? Like, look, I can produce world-class music from my bedroom, kind of as a solo act. What's your process like?
Right. So the process, yeah, like since I was always a guitar player, I usually, not all songs, but a lot of them, I sort of start on guitar, and I'll just kind of, mess around on there and kind of make a chord progression or like a sound that I like, and then once I get that, I try and take it over to the computer, and I use Logic Pro as my DAW, or like digital audio workstation, to kind of put everything together, and usually I put it in there and then try and put two and two together. So like whatever the sort of, I guess maybe the melody of whatever I wrote, like I try and put that in a synth song, or put that on a synth or some kind of melody and in the bass or something like that, and then I kind of just build off it from there with a bunch of virtual instruments, and then that's how I create my electronic songs.
That's what I was going to ask you. The virtual instruments and the source for the electronic side of what you do. Do you use proprietary sites for that, or do you use free sites? Because I know we have, there's all kinds of copyright laws and rules, etc. How do you source these different sounds, different instruments?
Right. Yeah. So usually, like I use Logic Pro. I also use Reason as well, which they're like workstation type things, so like softwares that you can make your music on. Yeah. And they come like preloaded with a bunch of different synthesizers, and I usually take those and then just kind of mess around with them to make a sound that I really like in my songs, and kind of build off it like that. So that way it's no copyright. You don't have to worry about that.
Right. Because it comes with the program, and then you just you massage that audio to have it suit where you want it to go.
Yeah, and that's why I really love electronic music, because you can start with like a basic sound and kind of keep building and building until you get something that you love. And I love that freedom, like having that. It's like you're an artist. Like you have three colors of primary paint, and you can make as many colors as you want out of that.
Just a different kind of artist than, and I know than traditional musicians, as they say. And I know here's a criticism that has been around for years of people that have worked on digital and electronic music making, is the fact that, oh, you're just a computer geek. You're not an artist. You're not a musician. You're not. And so, but it sounds, the way you describe it, and we're going to see, as Kevin said, we're going to see an example of it at the end of the program. Nothing could be further from the truth. It is just a different kind of art form.
Yeah.
So you, because somebody could, correct me again if I'm wrong, somebody could take this piece of audio that you come across and do something completely, it wouldn't even sound like what you did. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, like I know when I was in my last year of high school, I moved to Toronto because there was a school they were actually teaching audio production, and I got to take a course in that, and I thought that was really cool for a high school program.
Yeah.
And so they actually taught us. So they gave us like, I think it was just one sound. They gave us like one. We could only work with like the one sound from the one program, and they said, okay, put a song together with this, and you can do whatever you want to it. You can manipulate it, put oscillators on it or filters, but you can't use anything else. It just has to be that one sound.
Okay.
And it was amazing to see that, like, how many people came up with so many different things, because you can take like that sample and just chop it up, or you can loop it multiple times in certain areas, and yeah, you could pitch it like up and down, and it's so cool that what you can do with just one single piece of audio.
And Lee, do you mind if I hop in here, because this is leading directly to what I want to know is, with so many options, how do you know when the song is done?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I feel like there's a saying, and like if you're in electronic production, is that like a song is never really done. It's just more of when you're willing to just stop and say, okay, that's it. Because I know when I work on my stuff, there's always room for improvement. I'm always saying, oh, but I could do this. I could add more reverb to this, or add more delay on this part, or
yeah, that was a good question, Kevin. That would be a hard part, because you could tinker with it till it drives you nuts.
Yeah.
What is the long-term plan or goal for Errunhrd? Where do you want to see this go?
Right. So for me, like I've always loved like big music, like I've always wanted to play big music festivals like Pitchfork and Coachella and all those.
Oh yeah.
The big festivals, Reading in Leeds. So I think doing something like that. That's sort of my goal, is to get like I'm working on a live setup right now to kind of have a really good show. So once I kind of nail that, like I'm hoping to, expand my audience a bit and be able to play, hopefully eventually, like those big festivals.
That sounds like a great goal. You can ask a lot of people that question, and sometimes you get shrugs, because some people say they don't really have a specific thing. But it's great to hear someone that has a very specific kind of vision in mind. Would you have to go along with this? Now, if you're playing a festival, as you know, when you go to concerts, even traditional style musicians will have often some sort of visual to go along with the audio side of what they do, because sometimes those crowds are pretty big. So I would think your art in particular would lend itself towards having some visuals to it. Are you kind of going to foray into that side of it too?
Oh yeah. That's what I'm working on now. Like I contacted some visual artists. Actually, the one that worked on my video that you'll see after for Rain, the artist Carl Skeen, that he actually worked on that. He's an amazing like graphic artist, and he makes crazy visuals, and I'm trying to get him to do more live stuff with me. Yeah, because it does really go hand in hand with anyone, like any sort of artist that does digital art.
But especially something of your genre, it kind of goes with the territory, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating. Errunhrd, I hope you get where you want to go. I want to see you at one of those festivals, because you can sort of put that pin in the corkboard and say, there, Coachella, we're going there. So that's very cool. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to listening to your song. The song we're going to be hearing is "You Can Be You, I Can Be Me." Right?
That's the album.
That's the album.
So the song is Rain. Yeah.
Oh, the song is
title.
Rain.
Yeah, great album title.
I thought the album was Rain, but okay. So the album is called "I Can Be You and You Can Be Me."
Yeah, you can be you, I can be me.
And we're listening to Rain. All right. I got it. You only have to tell me 10 or 12 times. I get it. Thanks so much for joining us. You're great.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be watching and listening for more, okay?
Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. Nice young lady. Another unheard Niagaran until now. Errunhrd. Errunhrd. Errunhrd.
I listened to the song earlier this week, and as I said, I was having a back and forth lining up the interview with Errunhrd, and it was one of those songs where it was playing in the background, and next thing I knew, it was over, which meant it was good. You know, sometimes you're listening to music and you're like a minute and a half in, and you're going,
okay,
oh,
time
gosh.
to go.
Yeah, time to go. Okay, I got an idea of what this is.
Yeah.
And this was the opposite of that. It was just playing, and next thing you know, it was done. I'm like, what was that, 3.5 minutes? Boy, that went by fast. That's obviously it's... But I love that style of music, and I think it's so cool that an individual artist can own the whole thing and afford to do it from her bedroom. That's really
cool. That's really the best way to afford to produce music now, because the music industry is not what it was years ago. So the fewer number of people you have involved, the more lucrative it can be if it goes. I want to thank Gale's Gas Bars Limited for being our title sponsor. They've been fueling this program now for quite some time. We are here at episode 48 of season 2. They joined us in partway through season 1 and have constantly been there for us. Gales Gales.ca is the place to go to find out about their rewards program, their living wage status. We had Jessica Friesen, the CEO, on a while back talking about, or not Jessica, we had their HR person on, but Jessica put us in touch with this, talking about the fact that they are a living wage business here in Niagara, and the only living wage business in the petroleum industry in the province, which I find pretty amazing right here in Niagara. So kudos to Gales, and thanks for being here again as our title sponsor. Performance Heating and Air, Carlo and the gang, thank you for also supporting us. Verge Insurance Group, Mark Shirk and Blair Shirk and their crew. Always a pleasure to have you on board here. We have our second guest of the day on the program today. Steve Soos is his name. He's a Niagara political activist. That's the label we're putting on him anyway. He does a podcast called True Politics here out of Niagara. Stephen, how are you?
I think you muted yourself, buddy.
Did you mute?
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
We got you now, Stephen. We're great.
You know, it's a lot different when I use Zoom on my phone versus the I'm on the go versus the desktop. So I had to make some adjustments there.
Well, we got you now, loud and clear. What's going on, my friend?
Yes. So I'm coming on the show today. You gave the viewers an introduction. My name is Steve Soos. I'm the owner and host of True Politics Media. It's a Niagara region political web show based out of the Niagara region. We've interviewed several guests, such as the former Prime Minister Kim Campbell, the former Premier David Peterson. I'm also a former Welland Mayor candidate, came in second for Welland Mayor in 2018, and recently ran in the Ward 3 by-election for City Councillor, placing second behind John Mastriani. So I'm on the program today because since 2019, I've been fighting for a state of emergency on mental health, homelessness, and addiction in the Niagara region. So at the October 21st meeting of Niagara Regional Council, we brought the proposal to Niagara Region, the motion to declare the emergency on mental health, homelessness, and addiction. And Niagara Regional Council, what had happened is one of the regional councillors from Lincoln, Rob Foster, called a point of order when the item, when it was time to discuss the item, and he had stated that the item was a reconsideration motion and therefore needed 2/3 majority to be debated considered and debated on the floor. Okay. But it had never been voted on previously. So how can something be a reconsideration when it was never originally considered? Now, a little back, a few months before that, we did present to committee, myself and Councillor Wayne Campbell of Niagara Falls. And, during the committee discussions, it came up and it was a very lukewarm reception, but they had decided ultimately to go with the motion to acknowledge the crisis of homelessness, mental health, and addiction in Niagara, but stopped short at declaring the state of emergency. Now, they never voted the state of emergency down before they introduced their alternative motion. So when this point of order happened through Rob Foster, the councillor from Lincoln,
Right.
he did achieve the 2/3 majority, and the motion was essentially killed for the rest of the term. So, it was a spit into the face. It was a spit in the face to every activist in Niagara region who fights for the issues of mental health, homelessness, and addiction. And it was a spit into the face of the people who suffer from these issues and their families.
Were you able to talk with someone outside the council chambers, like in an informal setting, like off the record outside the meeting, about how and why this occurred the way it did?
No, I was not able to do that because what had happened is a couple of the councillors, Niagara Regional councillors, moved the item to the top of the meeting. We had 4 speakers ready to present on the state of emergency, and they didn't even let us speak to it because they called that point of order for the reconsideration, and all of a sudden we weren't allowed to speak. So after they voted 2/3 to allow us to speak because we were a quote late submission, but they still voted to allow us to speak and then reneged on that fact because the motion was killed through the reconsideration point of order.
Now, what constitutes is your understanding of a reconsideration? You said that the previous at the previous occasion or during the previous discussion it was not voted on. You said
Right.
that, correct? All
Right. Yes.
Now,
the original motion.
in order for something to be labeled a reconsideration, is that vote required? Does something have to be voted on, or does it just have to have been brought up before?
Yeah. So it's always been a vote. In my experience, it's always been a vote. Welland City Council, for example, reconsidered. They reconsidered a matter with the Rempel Farm in the expropriation matter. That required 2/3 majority, but they had originally voted for expropriation, and then later on reneged on it through reconsideration.
Okay, Stephen, explain to us what a designation of a state of emergency for homelessness and addiction in Niagara. What would that state of emergency, had it gone through and been debated and voted and passed, what would that have triggered?
So that would have triggered. So Ontario municipalities are free to. Canadian municipalities, I got it right the first time, are free to declare a state of emergency on any intentional or non-intentional act that has major proportions to life or property. So in a circumstance when you declare an emergency on something, the province, Ontario, the provincial government, is legally obligated to respond. So this happened in 2017 when a First Nations reserve declared a state of emergency on suicide. The province responded and they sent in frontline resources, staffing. This is what we're doing. We're trying to challenge the province in providing the appropriate funding, resources, and frontline staff for the issues of mental health, homelessness, and addiction. Because, my friend, the numbers are scathing. Over 800 overdoses, 84 responses a month. That's from Niagara EMS. You have the homeless matter, 665 homeless residents, including 121 homeless children who live in this region. And Niagara's suicide rate is higher than the provincial average in Ontario. And that's according to StatsCan. So this is a problem. And a state of emergency would challenge the province in doing more for these issues. It would challenge the province in providing the appropriate emergency response so that we can more properly manage these issues and tackle them effectively and get people the help and the services that they need.
And the Niagara Regional Council is the only conduit to trigger this reaction from the province. That's what you have to go through. You've got to go through them to get there.
Yes. Well, we chose to do that because jurisdictionally, Niagara Region looks after, these files.
Right.
So, if we were to talk hypotheticals, yes, a local mayor could probably declare the state of emergency, but with the jurisdiction being in the regional parameters and, having regional government and this being an issue that's Niagara wide, we thought it was more effective to approach the region with this and go through the head of council, which is Chair Bradley, in declaring, because the motion said, to direct Regional Chair Jim Bradley to declare a state of emergency on mental health, homelessness, and addiction. Now, Jim Bradley, legislatively, he has the power to do it himself, but he was very lukewarm on that.
Have you attempted to reach out to Chair Bradley personally?
Yeah, I didn't receive a response.
Not even a response?
Not a response. I emailed all of Regional Council to ask them how they voted on the matter because we were only able to get a partial vote count because nobody had called a recorded vote, which is where you would get it. And so I emailed all of council, including the chair, and I received, I believe, 6 responses. One of them, though, was from Welland's Regional Councillor, Pat Kioko. So I was happy about that. He responded.
Okay, Stephen, hang on a second. I need to rewind here a bit.
Yeah.
When the point of order was raised and called this a reconsideration.
Yeah.
Was there a vote? You just mentioned that there was a vote and you received.
Yes.
What was the vote on?
The vote would have been to reconsider the item or to not reconsider the item.
Lee, that was the exact question I was going to ask. And I'm in a lot of these councils, so I understand procedure very well.
Yeah.
Obviously, when Member Foster mentioned that this was going to be a reconsideration and convinced council of such, what was he referring to? You said that they had never voted on this in the past, but of course he had to sway council and have council agree. You're right. I think this is a reconsideration. So what did he point to in the past that would have made your motion a reconsideration?
Yeah. So that's a good question. He pointed to the fact that, quote, this issue received ample discussion, but it's not a vote. So there's nothing official. It's not a vote. How can you reconsider something that was discussed versus something that was voted on? You can't
Yeah.
There was no vote.
So what was voted on was actually to determine whether it was a reconsideration or not. It wasn't the proposal itself.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's how far it got.
Yeah.
So they killed it in the tracks. And that's an affront to democracy. Not allowing speakers to speak, first of all. Second of all, violating procedure, which actually led to me contacting the ombudsman's office.
Okay. Well, violation of procedure, I guess, is up open for interpretation. But the ombudsman.
We'll let them decide that through their investigation, though.
Yeah. Okay. So you did contact the ombudsman's office, and your response from them was would they take it under advisement? Is that going to happen?
Yeah. So what they want me to do is they want me to start out by submitting a complaint through the region's internal mechanisms, and
Makes sense.
they'll oversee the whole process. I can copy them on the email, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
And then if there's no resolution that comes out of that, then the ombudsman will stop in because they are in the legislation an office of last resort.
Okay.
But I haven't gotten, and it's like, how does that last resort feel? Because I haven't gotten anywhere with the region very well. I haven't got a response from the chair. I haven't got it, but they want me to write something again and copy them on it. So I'd be glad to oblige because I believe in this issue.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this plays out, Stephen,
me
because procedure. These people that are clerking.
They're very clear on
meetings,
procedures.
They know what's going on,
Well, yeah.
so they obviously believe that it was a reconsideration as well.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see what the ombudsman finally rules, because I don't know every in and out of procedure, but they do.
Here's the other kicker. Here's the other kicker about that situation. The clerk and the chair at the open meeting originally ruled that it was not a reconsideration. So the clerk stated it, the chair ruled it, and Foster challenged it, basically. That's the change here.
All right. Well, it will be interesting. It's good that you're in the appeal process and moving forward. One more bug in your ear. I know you're politically aware, obviously, and it's always a good time to reach out to MPPs and potential MPPs because we have an election coming up in June of next year. So you might be able to get some ears pointed in your direction. Stephen Soos, thanks for joining us. Keep us posted on how the process is going, okay?
Thank you, my friends.
All right, take care. Yeah, the sticky wicket of process and procedure in these meetings. I know if you watch any of the council meetings, I know WeeStream streams many council meetings, and as Kevin said, there's probably nobody even more versed than you these days on procedure in council situations.
Outside of municipal clerks and elected officials, I don't think there's anybody that's sat, aside from mayors and maybe regional councilors, that have sat through more committee meetings and council meetings than myself and Brandon.
And man, you got to take some no-dos or like something to keep your eyelids open at a lot of the
so as
meetings.
But, I do work with the MPCA as well, and I have tremendous respect for Member Foster. And Member Foster is a stickler when it comes to points of order.
Right.
So for him to call a point of order and to sway council into believing that this was a reconsideration, my feeling is there's probably some merit to it, but it's interesting to see Stephen doesn't feel that way. So we'll see where it goes. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It is very difficult sometimes for those of us out in the so-called public to wrap our heads around specific protocols for the operation of these meetings and how they work. It's a very complex set of rules, and they're there for a very good reason. But sometimes it becomes just such a morass of process that it can get frustrating just watching it sometimes unfold, even though it has to go the way it goes. So. But the statistics that Stephen was talking about, I don't doubt that his research is accurate, and we do have a homeless problem here in Niagara. We do have an addiction problem. We have overdose problems. The fentanyl situation, although it doesn't find necessarily the headlines these days, it's not at the top of the news cycle, it's still a very, very big topic. And too many people are dying from the combination of all these things: mental illness, homelessness, and addiction. It's the great triumvirate of social pain.
Now, meanwhile, Lee, this week the NRP might have been able to help by getting some guns and some weed off the streets.
Now, here is another. I'll use the term wacky story. Talk about. It's like, are you familiar with the word serendipity? Something that just happens because something else happened, and it's like, it's like an oh wow moment that you weren't expecting. Niagara, Ontario Provincial Police. We're investigating a vehicle rollover, single vehicle rollover, not a collision with another car, nothing like that. QEW at Sodom Road. Okay? The driver was arrested and charged. Why? Not really because the car rolled over, because while attending to this incident, they discovered 7 weapons. Taking a vehicle without consent was a charge. In other words, it wasn't even his car. Had 184 grams of cannabis And also, part and parcel of the rollover, et cetera, 3 Highway Traffic Act violations and breach of liquor violations. So here's a guy that is over the legal limit of blood alcohol content. He's in a car that isn't his, and he's driving it without consent of the car who it does belong to. And he's got weapons that look like some sort of Marvel Comics movie or a video game in his car, plus drugs.
Yeah, like, look at this stuff.
This is the mother lode of busts.
What kind of weapons? Who rolls with this?
I don't know.
This guy's samurai?
Well, maybe he's a collector. That's what I am. Oh, officer,
Because this here, I don't want to say we're used to seeing this, but yeah, guns and drugs. Okay, guns and drugs.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay,
El Chapo.
Some switchblades or whatever you want to call those.
But the sword collection is quite something.
Sword collection. Now the funny thing is that the car, right? He also said that it wasn't his car.
Yeah.
So maybe he didn't even know about the swords. Like maybe the guns and the knives and the weed, that's his. But then they open the trunk and say, "Not your lucky day, pal."
But maybe his defense is, "Hey, it wasn't my car. I didn't know that stuff was in there." I don't know, but I'm sure the police officers are pretty sure that he was responsible for something. See, it just goes to I picked today to roll my car over. I mean, it wasn't icy. It wasn't. Might have been raining a bit. I don't know what the weather was on that particular evening, but it was just a couple days ago. Weather hasn't been too bad, and he rolls his car over. But again, he was drunk. So
I didn't say he was drunk. Liquor violations. So maybe open liquor. They did say though that he had 3 Highway Traffic Act violations. So maybe amongst those was driving while impaired or something. I'm trying to find the story, the break-in of the Good Eats Diner. We could do that before we get to Errunhrd.
Yeah, a number of businesses in St. Catharines broken into overnight. Now this was posted a couple days ago.
Yeah, it's 4 days old, so I think we're talking Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, including the Good Eats Diner on Queenston Street. The vehicle caught on closed circuit TV, 2-door silver Honda Civic, black rims, maybe snow tires, no plates on the front of the vehicle. Suspect description.
Oh, sorry,
no, that's all right.
Took that away, but there's the suspect description.
There you go, right there. Again, Kevin, I must ask. This goes back to that conversation we had weeks and weeks ago when somebody went into Fry Guy's Fish and Chips on Lake Street in St. Catharines with a gun to rob it. And here's the Good Eats Diner on Queenston Street. I know exactly where that is, and other businesses as well. Most of them, I'm assuming, small businesses like the Good Eats Diner. How much are you going to get out of these places? Many of these businesses do their night deposits or their daily deposits. Maybe you're going to get some petty cash, but even that probably wouldn't be much. All you do is damage, and you cause people a lot of heartache and inconvenience. What do you accomplish? What do you get out of this? I don't know. But anyway, that's the guy.
I don't know, Lee. I want to give credit where credit is due, because at least the good folks over at Good Eats Diner, and I think that's Paulo and his crew out there.
Yeah.
At least they had better security cameras than.
No kidding.
Than this guy.
Good. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Yeah. Now, how are we going to find this one? You're not from those pictures. You're not.
Oh, you haven't seen that guy? Or these guys?
Yeah. I think on CSI, the hazmat crew, or that guy.
Oh, there you go. They're those guys.
Yeah. Now maybe that last one you showed, that one right there.
Yeah.
He's got something on the back of his jacket that you might be able to identify if you know what that logo is. I have no idea what it is, but other than that, and that was Was that the John Deere place that it just showed there?
I think so, yeah.
Because it looked like...
Yeah,
now,
John Deere Premier Equipment.
Yeah.
South Grimsby Road in West Lincoln.
Yeah. Now, someplace like that, if you're actually going to steal some of that equipment, it's very expensive, or tools or something like that, I suppose. But what are you going to do? Anyway, some interesting things happen that it just leaves you scratching your head. What is the point? What is the point? People trying to smash and grab, and I guess a lot of those things, Kevin, unfortunately run in tandem with the topic we were discussing with Steve Soos, is the fact that a lot of these break-ins, a lot of these things, whether they make sense or not, to us are tied in with all of those other items like mental health and homelessness and addiction. A lot of these things are interwoven with each other. Tough to separate them sometimes. Thanks again for joining us on this episode 48, season number 2 of Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. Thank you to Nick at Niagara 411 for everything that you do and the work that you put into this. And hi to Nick's mom. Thank you very much for Gales for fueling this program as you do every week. Always a pleasure to have you as our title sponsor here on the program. Performance Heating and Air, Virgin Insurance Group, thanks. Kevin and his partner Brandon Scram, the guys that started this WeeStream thing, and glad to see that life is starting to pick up for this. And by all means, if you have an event or something going on that you need people to be aware of and to witness, WeeStream is a place to go to find out how you can make that happen affordably and professionally. My name is Lee Sterry. We are going to be hearing Errunhrd, young lady that born and raised, lives in Niagara Falls, and is an artist in the world of what we have now learned is dream pop. The album is You Can Be You, I Can Be Me. The song is Rain. And Errunhrd will play us off the stage. Everybody have a great weekend, okay? Thanks for being here. Cheers.
Sorry, Lee, just got to had a tech glitch there.
We had a tech glitch? Okay.
Yeah, so hold on a second here.
While we're doing that,
yeah, maybe I'll throw us both back on here while I can iron out the kinks.
well, okay. While we are unglitching the glitch, also want to thank Dave McParian and his staff for allowing us to impose on them every Thursday here at Fiddler's Poorhouse in downtown St. Catharines. And keep in mind, here's one thing I want to remind you about that we talked about earlier. This is worthy of repeating. If you have any plans to use a land crossing, in other words, go across any of the bridges in Niagara into the United States, even if you're only going for a day, you have to have this Arrive Can app in order to get back into Canada. And it's something that has not been publicized. We went through it earlier in the program. If you just joined us like partway through and you missed it, go to the beginning of the show. Watch the beginning of the show, the first 15 minutes, and we'll walk you through what you're going to need so that you're not held up at the border coming back into Canada. All right? So it's the Arrive Can app. Your QR code doesn't do it. Your hard copy double vaccination doesn't do it. You need this app if you're going into the United States, even for an hour to get back. All right, so check that one out. Kevin, we are ready to go. With Errunhrd, we are going to be listening to Rain. And once again, thanks for being here and ciao.